Rise of the Lycan Princess. Chapter 5. Nara surfaced from sleep as the first gray light slipped through the mullioned windows, brushing the canopy curtains with a soft glow. Her heart beat a slow, deliberate rhythm, steady enough that she could count the spaces between thumps. Anxiety had kept her awake most of the night, yet she discovered a curious calm lying beneath the nerves, like bedrock under restless water. She sat up and drew her knees close, listening to distant sparrows and the muffled clink of guards changing watch in the courtyard below. Today. The word rang through her ribcage. Today. She would try again. A gentle knock sounded before Talia slipped in, arms full of folded garments. She moved quietly, aware of the hush that bathed the wing, and set a tunic and trousers the color of storm clouds on the foot of the bed. "Mornin', sleeping lion," she teased, voice hushed yet bright. Or should I say soon-to-be wolf? Nara managed a wry smile. "If you saw the knots in my stomach, you'd know the lion is still pacing its cage." Talia perched beside her and nudged a shoulder. "That's why I brought company and a distraction. These breaches are reinforced at the seams, in case your new muscles decide to rip something the moment you shift." Nara laughed under her breath and ran fingers over the fabric. "Thoughtful and practical. You really are my favorite noble." "Obviously," Talia said, "and now arms up." They moved through the familiar ritual of dressing. Talia hummed a wandering melody while fastening lacings, her chatter light but purposeful, each remark designed to smooth Nara's frayed edges. By the time a soft knock announced Maris, Nara felt steadier. Maris entered, cradling a narrow velvet box. "I thought this belonged with you," she said, opening it to reveal a slender, silver-threaded ribbon shot through with pale blue silk. "Your mother wore it on the night of her first shift. She asked me to keep it safe until her daughter walked the same path." Nara's breath caught. She touched the ribbon with reverence, feeling cool threads beneath her fingertips. "I don't remember ever seeing it." Maris's eyes glistened. "It was packed away after you were taken. I retrieved it last night." She slipped the ribbon around Nara's wrist and tied a delicate knot. "A blessing passed from mother to child. May it steady your heart." Nara blinked rapidly. "Thank you, both of you." Her voice wavered at the edges, but gratitude steadied it again. "I'll carry this memory into the circle." Talia gave her hand a squeeze, then headed off to prepare weapons for the guard posts, leaving Maris to guide Nara through quiet corridors toward a sun-bathed alcove where the king and queen waited. Sunlight pooled across mosaic tiles, throwing shifting patterns onto the walls. The king stood by a tall window, arms clasped behind his back. The queen approached first, drawing Nara into an embrace that held both fierce pride and trembling worry. "You look every inch the daughter I dreamed of," she whispered. Nara pressed her face into her mother's shoulder. "I feel closer to her than I ever have." She lifted the ribbon-bound wrist. "Thank you for saving this." The queen brushed a thumb across the silk. "Your grandmother wove this herself. She said a first shift should always be wrapped in love." Nara glanced at the king, who stepped forward, eyes bright yet solemn. "There is no shame in fear," he said in a voice like distant thunder softened by dawn. "But there is great power in meeting fear with purpose." "I remember your stories about her lullabies," Nara said softly. "Could you tell me one more thing? What was grandmother like when she wasn't singing?" The king's stern features gentled. "She was stubborn as mountain rock. Once, when a rival clan refused safe passage to visiting traders, she marched alone to their gate and sat until they relented. She believed every act of protection mattered, no matter the size." The queen added she would be proud of you for standing tonight. Nara let their words settle, anchoring her. She inhaled, filling her lungs with the warm scent of lemon oil and sunlit stone. "I'll carry her courage with me." Lucian arrived, boots echoing lightly. "Time," he said, offering Nara a reassuring nod. "The guards are set, wards reinforced." They moved together down flights of marble, then across manicured lawns where petals drifted on a mild breeze. Ahead, ancient oaks circled the sacred clearing like vigilant giants. The air thickened with a faint hum of power long before Nara stepped past the final trunk and saw the ritual ground. Silver dust and salt traced 3 concentric rings, each etched with runes that glowed faintly in daylight. Crystal shards the length of a forearm were lodged at precise compass points, refracting sunlight into spokes of color. Celine stood at the center, robes whispering around her, staff grounded beside a low stone altar. Elias paced the perimeter, dispatching scouts to treetop watchposts where hawkshifters already perched. Talia lingered just outside the inner ring, Maris beside her with a basket of restoring herbs. The king and queen took their stations opposite Selene, hands linked to feed lineage strength into the ward. Lucian guided Nara forward until she stood upon the singular patch of bare grass left at the center. Celine's voice slipped through the stillness. "When you are ready, steady your breath and focus on the warmth of the ribbon, the memory of your mother, the pull of the moon." Nara nodded. The subtle perfume of sage drifted from a brazier. She closed her eyes and listened to her heartbeat, softer than drums yet strong. Images rose. The dusty loft where she once wept alone after realizing she would never shift. Cole's quiet defense when others mocked her. The icy dismissal in Caspian's gaze. Those memories hurt, but they were real, and hers. Then she pictured Lucien laughing beside a fountain, Talia's unwavering grin, her parents' pride. Strength gathered from both pain and love, swirling through her veins. Celine's chant began, silk and steel intertwined. The crystals pulsed brighter, sending threads of silver light skating along the dust lines until the 3 circles burned like molten glyphs. Nara sensed a great gate looming inside her, tall as the sky, bars forged of doubt and old magic. On the other side paced her wolf, fur rippling silver, eyes glowing like twin moons. The barrier groaned at Celine's next incantation. Pressure sharpened behind Nara's sternum, a sensation of bone bending to make room for something wilder. She felt claws brush the inside of her skin, not painful, only insistent. In her mind, she spoke to the wolf. "I'm not afraid." The wolf bowed its head, then charged. Metal screamed. The bars burst apart, shards of binding magic scattering like stars. Fire rushed through Nara's blood, scorching, purifying. She threw back her head, a cry caught between human voice and growl. Muscles knotted, bones lengthened, then compressed. The world telescoped until she sensed every grain of salt at her feet, every heartbeat nearby. Her vision flared, colors deepening. When the blaze settled, she found herself crouched on 4 paws. Silver-gray fur shimmered along powerful shoulders. A tail flicked, feeling sunlight for the first time. She inhaled, tasting the estate's heartbeat, stone, moss, the distant river. Golden eyes took in the ring of astonished faces. Talia pressed both hands to her mouth, tears sparkling. The queen sobbed openly, leaning into the king's steady arm. Lucien's grin split his face. "Magnificent," he whispered, voice cracking with joy. Nara tested her strength, feeling muscle coil like tempered cable. She lifted her muzzle, releasing a howl that rippled through the clearing. Energy met that call. The standing stones glowed, the crystals sang a high note, then faded back to silence. Satisfied, Nara took a careful step and willed the inner tide to ebb. Bones reshaped, fur receded, and she knelt on the grass, breath fogging. Weakness rushed in, paired with exultation so intense it stole speech. Lucien draped a cloak around her shoulders. The king knelt, eyes bright but steady. "My daughter," he said, voice low with wonder. She managed a shaky laugh, tears sliding free. "Father." The queen gathered her into an embrace. "You did it, beloved." Talia hugged them both, chattering about how regal the wolf had looked. Elias offered Nara a steadying hand and a proud nod. Celine alone remained grave. When calm settled, Celine spoke. Her awakening was a beacon. The thorn crescent felt it. As if summoned by her words, a faint boom rolled across distant hills. The ground trembled. Guards shifted, eyes narrowing. Elias frowned. South Ridge miles off, but deliberate. Celine's expression hardened. They answer strength with intimidation. This will not deter us. The king helped Nara stand. We celebrate her return. Then we end this threat. Evening draped the estate in golden rose. Within a vaulted hall, candles glittered from iron chandeliers. Platters of roasted venison, spiced root vegetables, and sweet custards lined long tables. Musicians played lively tunes that set goblets ringing. Nara wore a simple gown, the ribbon still tied at her wrist, and accepted congratulations from servants and nobles alike. Lucien lifted a cup. To my sister, whose bravery shamed seasoned warriors. Laughter and cheers answered. Talia clinked her goblet against Nara's. I knew beneath those steady eyes lurked chaos waiting to burst out. Nara grinned. Chaos? I prefer righteous ferocity. Maris found her during a lull and pressed a hand to the ribbon. Your mother would glow tonight, she said. I felt her. Nara replied quietly. I'll honor her every time I run. Across the table, Elias and Celine spoke in low tones about scouting reports. Their stiff postures hinted at trouble. Nara caught Celine's eye. The mage gave a subtle shake of the head, signaling later. After the feast, they gathered in a map chamber under wrought lanterns. Scrolls detailed mountain passes and cave networks. Lucien pinned a crimson marker at the silent range. Our scouts traced fresh bootprints and sigils here, he said. If they're preparing a dark moon rite, we strike before they complete it. A gray-haired advisor frowned at Nara. The princess has shifted once only hours ago. She is untested in battle. The queen's voice cut like velvet-wrapped steel. She is Lycan. Our blood quickens in adversity. She will ride with her brother. Lucien laid a hand on Nara's shoulder. Her wolf senses will guide us in the tunnels. Celine added, and her aura disrupts Thorn Crescent wards. The council yielded. Plans were drawn. Departure set for dawn 2 days hence. While war brooded, a merchant caravan rattled into Nara's former pack territory. Cole carried grain sacks to their wagons and spotted an illustrated broadsheet pinned to a crate. Sketch of a tall, silver wolf and a caption about a royal awakening. His pulse leapt. That night Omega's huddled by the hearth. A girl whispered, They say the lost princess has returned. Cole's eyes shone in firelight. And she's strong, he said, voice hushed but fierce. She was always strong. Across the lodge corridor, Caspian paused unseen. He heard their voices, the hope threading through them. Unease twisted inside him. When Arya found him staring at a dark window, she mocked, You look haunted. Perhaps we should reconsider our alliances, Caspian muttered more to himself. Arya scoffed and walked away, but doubt lingered in his eyes. Back at the estate, Dawn found Nara in the training yard clad in light leathers. Talia tossed her a pair of short swords. Show me a wolf-quick pivot, she challenged. Nara spun, blades flashing, striking a wooden target that shattered into splinters. Startled laughter erupted. Apologies to the carpenters, Nara said, cheeks flushed. Lucien demonstrated footwork. Elias corrected her guard during patrol drills, and even Celine watched from the shade, nodding approval. As hours passed, Nara felt her body adapt, muscles remembering the wolf's fluidity even in human shape. Later, Selene led her to a candle-lit sanctum. Sit, breathe, and speak to your wolf. Nara closed her eyes. Inwardly, she found the wolf lying beneath moonlit branches, ears twitching. We walk together now, she thought. Always, the wolf answered, its voice a warm rumble in her mind. When she opened her eyes, Celine smiled. Maintain that bond and you will never lose control. Scouts returned near dusk, mud-splattered and breathless, reporting Thorn Crescent acolytes carrying crystal coffers toward the deepest caverns. Celine translated the sigils. They moved to bind moon cycles against us. If they complete lunar severance, every Lycan in these lands will weaken. Lucian struck the map with a gauntlet. We ride at first light tomorrow. Armorers fitted Nara with ceremonial leathers patterned in silver thread and scaled chain that flexed for shifting. She ran fingers over the cool rings, feeling strength pulse beneath. Twilight deepened. Nara climbed the rampart where torches lined the parapet. The warband assembled below, standards snapping in a rising breeze. Lucien joined her, helm tucked beneath his arm. Talia arrived next, adjusting a quiver. Celine and Elias followed, speaking in low tones about wardstones. Nara gazed toward the dark woods. Her wolf pricked its ears inside her chest. A hooded figure stood among the trees, face obscured, red tattoos glowing faintly. Their eyes met across shadow, a silent challenge. Then the figure melted into darkness. Nara growled, a note that split between human throat and wolf's snarl. Lucian's hand settled on her shoulder. I saw, he murmured. They watch, but we're ready, Nara said, voice low and sure. Lucian nodded. Tomorrow we end the chase. Wind tugged strands of Nara's hair free. She inhaled, feeling the ribbon brush her wrist, feeling her wolf stretch and brace. The horizon flickered with torchlight, and far beyond, the silent range waited. I will stop them, she vowed in silence. I will protect my family, my pack, my friends. Inside her, the wolf answered with thunderous certainty. Lucien's gloved hand remained on Nara's shoulder while torches guttered in the cooling breeze. Armor creaked on the stairs below as soldiers filed toward barracks for a last inspection, their murmured jokes and sharper bursts of laughter echoing off stone. For a long moment, neither sibling spoke. They simply absorbed the smell of pitch, the glow of forge fires beyond the stables, the low clatter of hoof picks as grooms checked iron shoes one final time. At last, Lucien exhaled. If I could, I'd keep you behind the thickest walls. She shook her head. If you did, I'd climb over them. Besides, you've already tried the overprotective path. Remember when I insisted on carrying my own practice staff the day after my first lesson? A reluctant smile tugged at his mouth. And you dropped it on your foot. Only because you startled me with a surprise critique. He nudged her lightly. I'm proud of you, you know. Not because you shifted, although that was spectacular, but because you faced it. 6 months ago, you were scraping ash from banquet trays while others mocked you. Tonight, you stood taller than any of us. Heat climbed her cheeks, but she held his gaze, letting the warmth settle in her chest. I didn't do it alone. No, he agreed, glancing at Talia where she chatted with 2 scouts about arrowhead weight. You collected a tribe. Below, Celine handed out palm-sized stones ringed with glowing sigils, temporary wards for squad leaders. Elias accepted one, offered the mage a short bow, then barked a series of orders that sent runners sprinting toward battlements. The estate pulsed with readiness. Lucien lifted his helm and settled it on his brow. I need to review the Western Watch, he said. Before leaving, he brushed a strand of hair behind Nara's ear. Find food, rest. I'll wake you before dawn. She watched him stride off, his cloak swirling behind like a dark wave, then descended the staircase where Talia was mid-anecdote. I swear the quiver slipped because the new straps are too smooth, Talia insisted. You try hitting a moving target when your arrows rattle louder than dice in a cup. Nara joined them, the corners of her mouth lifting. Maybe your wolf is telling you to switch to spears. Bite your tongue, Talia grinned. If I start heaving spears, someone will lose a limb, likely me. She sobered slightly, examining Nara's face. You good? Better than I expected, Nara confessed. The wolf's presence, it's like someone else breathing in rhythm with me. Talia's eyes softened. I'm glad. Now food. Your stomach will complain halfway to the mountains if you don't listen. They walked toward the kitchens, but an armored messenger intercepted them. Princess Nara, A bird from the southern trading route arrived, bearing your name. He held out a sealed parchment, common merchant wax rather than royal stamp. Nara accepted it, pulse quickening. The scrawl looked familiar, slanted letters she'd read on old supply ledgers. She broke the seal. Nara. Rumors say the Silver Wolf runs with royals. If that is you, no hope returns here. Some of us remember kindness. If trouble rises, send word. We will answer however we can. Cole. Her breath caught. The courtyard noise dimmed until only the paper's rustle remained. Talia's brow creased. Good news? Nara folded the letter carefully. Better than good. A friend is alive, and he still believes in me. She felt her resolve harden like tempered steel. I'll keep this close. Mara swept in with a tray balanced on her hip. Soup, black bread, and strong tea. No arguments, she declared, shepherding them toward a bench near the kitchen's arched door. Nara obeyed, spooning aromatic broth while Talia demolished 2 thick slices of bread. Maris tapped Nara's armored shoulder. The queen waits in the chapel. She lowered her voice. She wants a quiet word before the household retires. Nara found her mother beneath tall stained glass windows lit by flickering candles. The ribbon gleamed at Nara's wrist. The queen produced a slim dagger in a carved bone sheath. Your grandmother's, she said. She believed every warrior should carry a blade, even when claws are sharper. Nara slid the dagger free. Silver runes spiraled along the steel, family sigils inset with moonstone chips. She swallowed a surge of emotion. I'll treasure it. The queen drew Nara close. Your father is meeting with foreign envoys. He will join the send-off at dawn, but he asked me to remind you. Lead with your heart, not only with fury. Nara nodded, pressing her forehead to her mother's. I promise. Night deepened into velvet darkness. In the southern guest wing, Celine sat cross-legged, eyes closed, murmuring a cantrip that would weave fresh strength into Nara's ribbon. She sensed Nara enter and gestured her forward. You have touched your wolf's mind, Celine said. Now bond more deliberately. Sit. Nara folded her legs, mirroring the mage. Candlelight flickered. She slowed her breathing until the thud of her heart faded to a distant drum. Inward she went, down corridors of thought to a clearing washed in silver. The wolf waited, regal yet restless. We travel, Nara projected. Are you ready? The wolf's golden eyes gleamed. We were born for this. A ripple of power flowed outward, stirring candle flames, though neither woman moved. Celine opened her eyes. Good. Remember that unity, if fear grips you. Outside the estate walls, winds shifted. In a hollow beyond the nearest ridge, hooded figures whispered over a circle of black candles. One lifted a small mirror etched with Nara's likeness, its surface mottled by dark runes. The figure pricked a finger and let blood smear the glass. A tremor passed through the flame. Far away, Celine sensed a tug at her wards and frowned. They rise more swiftly than expected, she thought. But she did not voice the concern, trusting the protective lattice woven through the estate. A bell tolled once, signaling midnight. Guards changed shifts. Smiths doused forges. Stables quieted, leaving only the occasional stamp of a restless charger. Nara retired to her chamber but slept lightly, wolf dreams flickering behind closed eyes. Before dawn, Lucian rapped on her door. The courtyard glowed with lanterns and the ghostly hint of false sunrise. 60 mounted warriors formed ranks. Archers checked fletching. Spear-bearers adjusted leather chin straps. Elias rode a black gelding at the front, barking names for roll call. Celine mounted a dappled mare, staff across her saddle. Talia swung onto a bay with quick grace, quiver angled over one shoulder. Nara approached Snowfall, a pale stallion who pawed eagerly. She vaulted into the saddle, armor gleaming. The king appeared, clad in half-plate and cloak, refusing to let his people ride without his blessing. He clasped Nara's gauntleted hand. Strike true, he said. Return stronger. Lucian wheeled his horse beside hers. Scout wings take the ridge. Main column keeps to the valley road. Fast pace until the foothills, then single file. Nara nodded, mind sharpening. The wolf inside leaned forward, nostrils flaring, eager to run. The portcullis rattled upward, chains groaning. Trumpets sounded, low and resolute. They rode. Hooves thundered across drawbridge timbers toward rolling meadows silvered with dew. Behind, the estate shrank to a cluster of torchlit turrets. Nara inhaled crisp pre-dawn air, the scent of pine and distant snowfields. Energy coursed through sinew and bone. She felt every muscle of snowfall beneath her, every thrum of heartbeats in the column. As sunlight crested the horizon, they crossed the river ford. Mist stirred, curling around riders' legs like pale serpents. Nara's eyes caught movement among cedars, a flash of dark cloak, then nothing. She signaled Lucian with a sharp whistle. He raised his fist. The column slowed. Scouts melted into underbrush. Moments later, an owl shifter swooped overhead, returning to land on Elias's forearm. Shadow confirmed, Elias called. Single sentinel slipped north, likely Thorn Crescent's eyes. Celine urged her horse closer to Nara. They track our passage. No matter. Distance between spy and host slows communication. We'll still reach the silent range before they finish their rite. They pressed on. By midday, they reached a narrow ravine where jagged rocks hemmed the trail. Lucian directed archers to ascend the right wall while he led spearmen left. Nara dismounted, shifting seamlessly into her wolf form to test the ledges. Claws bit stone, muscles coiled, and she leapt upward with effortless power. Talia whistled in awe below. From the top, Nara scanned rocky gullies. The wolf's keen sight spotted charred fire pits and refuse half buried. She relayed the finds through a sharp bark. Lucian translated for the column. Forward encampment. Cult. Hit this pass last night. They advanced rapidly until late afternoon when the mountainside leveled into a plateau overlooking the valley. Celine recommended camp, needing starlight to read celestial alignments before the strike. Frozen grass crunched under boots as tents rose. Nara reverted to human shape, cheeks flushed from exertion. Talia tossed her a waterskin. You bounded up those rocks like you've done it for years. Felt like I was born to it, Nara admitted, wiping sweat off her brow. She scanned distant peaks where storm clouds gathered purple and ominous. Skies turning. Mountains love their theatrics, Talia said, uncapping her own flask. All the better for dramatic heroics. Lucian called a council by campfire. Map stones pinned the silent range network. Elias indicated 3 cave mouths. Scouts confirmed sigils guarding the central entrance. We strike there at moonrise, Elias said. Secondary teams collapse outer tunnels to trap stragglers. Celine added, Lunar severance requires convergence at an altar chamber deep within. I will disable the crystal anchors while Nara and Lucian confront the high priest. Nara frowned. Our objective is to end the threat, not just disrupt this rite. Agreed, Lucien said. He turned to Elias. Capture if possible, but no mercy for those who refuse. Supper was rationed bread and cheese, but adrenaline seasoned every bite. Nara crouched near a low fire, rolling the letter from Cole between her fingers. She pictured his determined face, remembered the gentle way he had squeezed her shoulder that final night at the pack. A spark of longing tightened her chest. She hoped news of her success would find him quickly. Snow began falling after dark, fluttering flakes that dusted tents and glimmered in torchlight. Celine said it was an omen of purification, the land shedding old grime before dawn's bloodletting. Nara slept curled in a blanket beside Talia, wolf half dreaming under her skin. Sentries changed at second watch. Nara's eyes snapped open as a chill swept the camp. She emerged to find Celine studying the sky. Something moves, the mage whispered. Feel. Nara closed her eyes. A distant vibration hummed, like low thunder in bone. She recognized it. similar to the tremor after her shift, but twisted darker, laced with malice. They've started their chant. Celine nodded. Hours ahead of schedule. Lucienne convened commanders. Plans shifted. They would march within the hour under snowfall, hoping to catch the cult before focus deepened. Warriors doused fires, steel slid into scabbards, and torchbearers muffled flames with iron hoods. Nara adjusted her armor. The ribbon lay damp against her wrist but secure. Lucian handed her a second short sword, a near twin to the first. For balance, he said, fight with both hands, strike like the moon's twin blades. She sheathed it with a nod. Snowfall snorted, stamping impatiently. Nara mounted. The column moved, hooves muffled beneath fresh powder. Wind whistled through pines. Clouds parted briefly, revealing a sliver of moon that bled crimson around its rim. An eclipse is beginning. Talia rode near Nara, eyes narrowed. Red moon. Either someone's writing epic ballads or we're walking into a nightmare. Probably both, Nara replied. Her pulse steadied, each beat sinking to the wolf's measured growl. They reached the cave mouth just past midnight. Flickering red light spilled from within. Incense reeked of iron and rotten lilies. Lucian signaled archers forward. Arrows fitted to bows glimmered silver-tipped. Nara shifted halfway, ears sharpening, claws sprouting enough to anchor her stance. She felt Lucian's steady presence at her left, Talia's determined breath at her right, Celine's power humming behind. Elias counted silently, lifted a closed fist, then dropped it. Arrows hissed. Cult sentries crumpled without a sound. Nara and Lucian surged into the tunnel, boots splashing in shallow runoff. Chanting rolled like a subterranean tide from deeper chambers. Symbols glowed along walls, thorns curling around crescents, painted in blood that steamed against the chill. Acolytes rushed forward, daggers raised. Nara met the first, blades ringing. Sparks flew as steel kissed steel. She ducked, swept a leg, and slammed pommel to skull. Lucien parried two attackers, his momentum fluid as water. Behind them, Celine cast a sigil that crumbled a side passage, sealing reinforcements. They pushed deeper, troopers following in wedge formation. The chanting grew frantic. Nara's wolf surged, lending eyes that cut the gloom. She saw a wide cavern ahead, pulsing crimson, where crystals rose like jagged teeth around a stone dais. There the high priest stood, robes ink black, tattoos glowing arterial red. He held a curved blade above a bound figure, a gaunt wolf shifter, eyes glassy in fear. Ropes of shadow anchored the captive to the altar. Nara felt fury ignite. She charged. Lucien flanked left. The priest slashed. Shadows coiled like vipers, but Celine's counterspell ripped them apart. Nara vaulted the dais, blades crossing to block the priest's curved sword. Metal shrieked. The priest hissed something guttural. Lucian's sword swept from the side, but the priest flowed back, chanting. Crystals flared. Energy slammed Nara's chest, launching her into a pillar. Pain burst across her ribs, but the wolf roared inside, refusing weakness. She rolled to her feet, eyes narrowing. Celine shouted an incantation. The pillar behind Nara erupted in blue flames that licked up the crystal facets, disrupting the rite's focus. The priest staggered, tattoos flickering. Nara felt the moment open like a breath. She lunged, twin short swords flashing in an X. Steel met flesh. The curved blade fell with a clatter. The priest's roar turned to gurgle as he collapsed, crimson pooling like spilled ink. Instantly, the humming crystals dimmed. The bound captive sagged, shadows gone. Lucian sliced ropes and eased the shifter to the floor. Celine flung power outward, collapsing remaining crystals into harmless shards. Outside the cavern, skirmishes continued, Elias's forces clashing with stragglers. But the central rite lay shattered. Nara's chest heaved. Sweat and blood mingled down her temple. She looked at Lucian, who offered a shaky grin. It's done. But the wolf warned her, ears pricking, nose wrinkling at a creeping odor of scorched stone. Celine sensed it too. The crystal's collapse weakened the roof. She barked, "Out!" Talia herded soldiers back as rocks began to fall. Nara slung the rescued shifter's arm over her shoulder, muscles surging with lupine strength. They sprinted down tunnels lit by crumbling torches. Dust choked the air. Thunder rolled overhead. Finally, they burst into night, coughing, just as a rumbling collapse sealed the entrance behind like a giant grave. Snow fell harder, blanketing rubble. Lucian steadied the captive shifter, wild-eyed but breathing. Celine pressed glowing hands to his wrists, murmuring soothing phrases. Elias's tally found minimal losses. The cult lay routed, but Celine warned some acolytes had escaped through lesser tunnels. "We've broken their spine," she said, "but not plucked every thorn." Dawn bled pink across mountaintops. Exhaustion settled, but triumph burned brighter. Nara sheathed her blades, wiping sweat. Talia whooped, arms raised. Lucian barked a laugh that echoed off snowy crags. Nara's wolf lifted an invisible muzzle and howled in her chest, a song threaded with victory and vigilance. Hours later, the column rode back toward the estate, bearing wounded and spoils. The rescued shifter, once an Omega abducted from another pack, rode behind Celine, wrapped in blankets and gratitude. Nara rode at the vanguard, eyes scanning tree lines, ribbon fluttering at her wrist. They crossed the drawbridge to roaring cheers from ramparts. The king stood on the steps, pride blazing. The queen beside him wept openly when she saw Nara hail. Lucien dismounted first, but troopers cleared a path so Nara could approach. She knelt, presenting the priest's shattered blade. "Their ritual is ended." The king took the blade, voice steady. "And so begins the era they feared." Night fell with celebratory fires across the grounds. Nara stood again atop the rampart, this time with Cole's letter tucked over her heart and her wolf sitting peacefully within. Lucian leaned against the Merlin. "Told you you'd win the race, he said. She smiled, gaze on the moon rising full yet again, unmarred by shadow. "The race isn't finished. But now I know I can keep pace." Below, torches glimmered like constellations. Somewhere far away, an exiled Alpha wrestled with guilt, and a young Omega tucked a secret hope beneath floorboards. But within these walls, for this heartbeat, peace reigned. Nara closed her eyes, feeling moonlight penetrate armor, ribbon, skin, muscle, bone, until it touched the wolf curled inside. "We are whole," she thought. The wolf answered with a gentle rumble that promised they would face whatever dawn brought, together.